9 minutes after 1 o'clock. Welcome to the second hour of Power Lunch. My name is Tshego Moagi, with you until 3 o'clock on the 6th day of August, a Wednesday afternoon. Coming up in this hour, we speak about why some people only love you when you're beneath them. Why don't people want to see you do better than them? It's such a sad thing, especially when we talk about friendships, a person that you call a friend. And I always say to my friends, to people, I'm like, be careful the person that you call a friend. Some people are not your friends. They're really not your friends if people don't want to see you well. Do well. If people don't want to see you do well. And Amuto's always happy with you just being beneath them and doing, what they're doing, not doing what they can do. Let me put it like that. So we need to, of course, always evaluate things like that. And it often comes within friendships. And I wonder if you've had a friendship like that, Power Family, where you have had a friend that when you do well, moto how congratulate, because now suddenly also mufitile in the societal stance or the societal speaking point, also mufitile when it comes to the kind of things that they have achieved. So you must always remain beneath this person. It really is something that will never make sense to me, because if you call yourself my friend, you should be happy with my achievements. Even if I do better than you, that should still propel you to be happy for me and to push me forward even more, to encourage me even more. But imagine also having a partner that does not want to see you do well. Oh my gosh. Now you've got a friend and a partner. That is horrible. But you must really be careful who you call friends, hey? And I'll keep saying, there's a saying that I read that says, some people want to see you do well, but not better than them. So get that. Some people want to see you do well, but not better than them. Tshidi Pila will unpack this for us in a short while. And I really would like for you to engage with us and tell us what you make of the kind of friendships that you have. Have you had to look at your friends and wonder, why is it that some people don't celebrate you the way that you would like to be celebrated? Something to think about. 0861987000. Tshidi Pila, of course, is a transformational life coach. She is on the line, and we'll have this conversation with her shortly.
Weekdays 12 to 3 p.m. This is Power Lunch on Power 98.7.
Tshidi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for your time.
Hey, Tshego, I'm good, and how are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much. So, and I keep saying to people, be careful who you call friend, hey? Who you actually consider to be a friend. But when we look at things like a friendship, performing friendship, right, where someone does not love you, or people will only love you and show their love and their acceptance of you when you are beneath them, what are some of the signs that we need to look out for that this friendship might be built on power rather than partnership?
Yeah, so, which is a bit confusing for the mind, right, Tshego, because we are social beings, our survival is intertwined, interaction. So we are connecting in social being. And so when we are in those kind of relationships, it's not the first thing that you look for, right? The first thing that you look for is this connection, living together or being together. But to come back to your question, what are those signs, the telltale signs? I always say to people, Tshego, that no question is aimless, right? So pay attention to what this friend is asking you, because some question could mean, do I still have power over you? How far are you in your life? Can I keep you, or are you going to outshine me, right? And those questions they seem very generic, and they seem very innocent, right? And it could be something like, which school does maybe this does not sound right, but maybe we talk about which school the children go to, and then the next question is, how much are you paying? That's got no relevance in anything that we're talking about, right? So this friend, or I'm trying to see between Tshego and I who could be, oh, if you're paying more, it means I'm no longer above you. So no question is aimless at all. And that's why you need to pay attention to the questions that you are, that someone is asking you. What is this person probing? And what is it that they're wanting, and see what they do with the information as well, right? Some question, or the next follow-up question could be, are you this rich, or something like that. Then it's a telltale to say, what is this relationship, and why are we having this conversation?
Yeah, no, motho ba tlo botsa o kana school fees sa ngwana hao ke bokae? I mean, why is that important?
Right? Oh, you're wearing a beautiful dress. And the next question from me to you, Tshego, is, how much did you buy it for? So those are the things that I'm trying to see. But there's some genuine, some people will ask you genuine to say, I've got a wedding, this is what I'm going to. So you will tell, you will know, and you will have this intelligence to pick up what Tshidi is asking in this question, and what position are they wanting to affirm for themselves about this relationship.
And so, there are people that seem to love or support a person only when they are struggling. I mean, why are people like that, Tshidi? Why do some people actually do that?
There's various reasons, but one of them that sort of is or come into this framework is that, or the frame of this conversation rather, is remember, I need you to be beneath me, right? And so if you are struggling and I am helping you, it's feeding this dark side of me, for me to be this main character in the relationship. And so I have to know that you are struggling, and I have to know that I can manipulate you. Because remember, the power play is that if I'm feeding you, if I'm the one making sure that you are the person, basically, I can then manipulate you, I can control you, I can see how you are thinking, and I can tell you, no, you can't think that way because you are dependent on me. Right?
I mean, that's horrible. That's horrible. I suppose it's also a matter of looking at your friendships, right? And being able to tell that somebody actually loves you when you're struggling or when you're going through a difficult time. And then what steps do you take there?
So if you are only being helped when you're struggling. Yeah, so it's remember at that time you're also vulnerable yourself. So you may not see this as a negative thing. And sometimes the very people around you could be saying, but so have you noticed how Tshidi supports you? But because of vulnerability, you may choose to close that door, if you like, right? So it takes a lot of training and a lot of evidence with you to say, wow, this person actually does show up for me, but they show up this way. So let's say you've done that and you've gotten to the point where you have the understanding and you have it's known to you that this is how Tshidi helps me, and this is how she shows up in my life. And so the things to do is that, start reviewing your ecosystem. As I always talk about the ecosystem. Who else in your ecosystem can help you besides Tshidi, right? And how long is this help going to be? And so let's say, for example, I need help for, I don't know, so maybe for the next 3 months or so, right? And within my ecosystem, there's someone else that I can ask for the money or ask for the support, then I go to that person. But if you say this is the only person that can help me, it shows that you need to start rebuilding your ecosystem, because this person, you may go to help for them to help now, and you know that you will repay them however, if it's money. But you know that the relationship is built on control and manipulative. And so how do I strengthen my own ecosystem so that I no longer depend on this type of friendship and I begin to grow for myself?
Tshidi, what then happens, in a situation where, you have friends that watch but don't clap? How can we deal with that emotional pain And, what does the silence from that particular friend actually say, especially someone that you may be hoping will actually clap for you in a particular situation?
Yeah, that is so important, Tshego, because I want to start with why it hurts, right? Because the reason why we're talking about it is because it hurts. So remember, the silent treatment or being ignored or not being cheered on, it hits on at the same, the brain area where, so it gets, the mind registers it as a physical pain, right? But you are confused because you're not seeing it as a physical pain. You're seeing it as oh, why is my friend not clapping or not saying well on you, right? But you then self-doubt yourself, whether you are doubting yourself whether what he did was good enough. You then, feeling confused about that, and also a bit of isolated because you're thinking you're not good enough, and that's why your friend is not clapping. It's actual, the actual registration of where it is in your mind. Your mind feels like you have been hit. There's a pain that you're dealing with. So that's a confusion that you deal with for a long time. And so then what the friend is doing, though, some of them do know, by the way, that this thing is going to hit you this way, and it does create self-doubt, and you'll come to them for counsel and so forth. Yeah, some people are manipulative like that. But let's say the other reason could be they will just not give you that validation, because by them giving you that validation, it's like cutting that drip. When I say, and what do I mean by cutting that drip or that lifeline? If you see the development of a child, right, at home, you could have seen people growing around you, even for yourself. The moment you start to walk, the people around you will clap, yay, and then every step, yay, and then they're clapping, right? But then they get to the point where you are so confident in your steps, you're no longer wobbly, and you're no longer expecting people to clap. So meaning those claps have given you the validation, right? So in this case, the clapping or the cheering on is exactly like that narrative, if you like. So the friend are saying to you, by me clapping, you will no longer, you will start to know that you can walk by yourself. You are confident to walk on yourself. And so you'll no longer need me, rather. So I'm not going to give you that validation. I'm going to let you think that you can walk better. You need me, and my claps are that, what do you call it, that transaction that makes you come back to me. Because remember, this friends, if you were to turn it around, they need this, right? They need this, you being dependent on them, because that's how their ego is eating. And so the moment they give you the validation to say you can walk, it means you're not going to feed their ego by constantly being dependent, and therefore they can't manipulate you. And if they can't manipulate you, therefore they lose the control.
And that is the scary part, where you actually get manipulated by a friend. Tshidi, someone that you consider close to you, that you can share information with, and then to manipulate you to such a way, or manipulates you and makes you feel even bad for feeling a particular way, that they're not supporting you. I mean, make it make sense for me.
So this conversation, I know we started it at the what and directly at the head of it, but it's very, very big, right? And in attempting to make it make sense, right, is that this friends usually when people feel they need to be superior, they've got this inferiority complex about them. Right? And people with inferiority complex, they constantly need to be, there has to be someone's shoulder to step on. It's like a stepping stone. That's what elevates them. And that's why they thrive in putting someone down, right? And this is a very deep-rooted insecurity. And that is why, remember, where there's insecurity, there's a void. And so there's a plaster or whatever it is that you put on that void, and that's a deep insecurity. And that's why the only way for me to not feel insecure is to put you down, right? And this is an inherent thing that they have. We can talk about why and where they get it from. It comes from different, area, either the grooming, the learned behavior, the wound that they've never healed. So it's very, very broad and very deep to say, why would someone decide to find people that they can manipulate, control, and hurt ultimately? Because where there's control and manipulation, there is hurt, right? And so the other people's emotions for them is a what do you call this? I always make this analogy when I say, well, if you put in this machine, there's me revealing my age. This machine that you put money in.
A jukebox.
Yeah. That was not the last time I saw a jukebox.
Oh, so I must not give out my age.
So you are my person. The fact that you just remembered which machine. So imagine for them, it's like a power. It's a power play, right? This is your emotions. I can put in 5 friends or whatever the coin, and you will sing this song, right? I am in control, and so your emotions for them is the elevation or the confirmation of the power that they have on you. So think of it when you literally putting money in that machine and playing the song that you want. That's them feeding in that insecurity and breathing in that insecurity.
Mm-hmm. And so, there's been this thing where people have reposted, sorry, I'm in the middle of my own storm. I can't be your umbrella right now. But how then do we tell the difference that someone is going through their own struggle, going through their own storm, versus someone that's really becoming toxic?
Yeah, it's very important, hey, because I mean, everyone does go through the storm or their own storm. The storm is the mother of the calmness. We know that. So for me, I always say, don't pay attention when things are going bad. Pay attention with your friends now, within your ecosystem now, when things are not going. What do you call it? Like things are well. We are very cordial. Pay attention in that way, right? Because by the time I'm in my storm, you will be able to pick it up, Tshego, to say, oh, actually, Tshidi is right. How this is how we have been interacting, and the fact that she's distant now, it is a sign or a confirmation. And sometimes we, even ourselves, the people that are being controlled on or manipulated, we are needy ourselves, right? And that is why this grooming has worked for us, right? We've benefited from being this needy. And how do we do that? I ask you, I call you, right? And in this calling is, hi, Tshego, how are you? And then you say, I'm well. Before you can even tell me the next sentence, I'm on to the next thing, right? So I'm just asking you, how are you? Because I'm transactional. Because I'm the one always loading and offloading my emotions, how I am, venting, how my day was, and so if we were to pay attention and say, with this friendship between Tshidi and Tshego, what am I the one who's always offloading? Does she offload? And if she does, how do I support her? How do I hold the safe space for her, right? And by paying attention to that, when she goes through or he goes through the stormy season in his life or her life, sometimes I will not even need her or him to say, you know what, I can't carry the umbrella for you. I will just be that friend who carries the umbrella. So sometimes because we enjoyed being needy and we enjoyed being supported, we have not been paying attention to that. But pay attention to the relationship now as it is. How has the interactions been? So that when that time is needed where someone is going through their own season as well, you understand that they're saying it from that time because there's been that kind of friend.
Mm-hmm. In conversation with Tshidi Pila, transformational life coach, as we speak about how to recognize when someone is only happy for you when you are beneath them or when you are struggling, and what to do in a friendship such as that. We'll continue our conversation with Tshidi shortly. Of course, we have to go to news headlines, and Tshidi will be taking us to the top of 2 o'clock. So do stay tuned for this conversation. But let's unpack it with you as well. Power Family on 0861987000. Do engage with us there or drop us an X at PowerFM987 at Tshego Moagi _.
Weekdays 12 to 3 p.m. This is Power Lunch on Power 98.7.
13:35 on Power 98.7. We are in conversation with Tshidi Pila, who's a transformational life coach, as we speak about what is described as performing friendship or performing friendships, where also someone wants to support you, but they really don't want to support you, and they prefer that you don't do better than them, and they want to see you beneath them all this time. Do you have such a friendship? Have you had to now sit back and think about some of the friends that you have, and whether there is a friendship such as this that you may be battling with? Tshidi Pila still on the line with us. And Tshidi, I wonder, if a person does sit back and realize that, this person is this kind of friend, do you then have a pity party and feel sorry for yourself?
Pity parties are nice, Tshego. I mean, we can sit and talk about, do you know what he did? And we have more friends, and it goes on and on and on. They are nice, but I think they've got their end. You do them, and then there's the end. You can't have too many pity parties, because then you are the victim, or you are then owning this pain as an identification of who you are and in your friends. And that becomes your new, map and territory that you're following. So there's the danger in the continuous pity parties. But I think, talking about things and letting them out and venting them in safe spaces is the way to start. That is why we have, this long calls with our friends where we're venting on how our days have been. But I don't think it's healthy for you, for your own mind, and also for your own progress, to do it continuously and have that power string just still continuing in your life.
Mm-hmm. And so, when you look at people who have got access, right? Privilege, they've got influence, they've got the money, they've got what I may need to just get a step ahead a little bit. And then they refuse to help their friends, even when they easily could. What then can be done, and what can be said about such people?
This one has got dualities in it, Tshego, because sometimes you don't help because there's a behavior you are correcting, right? I've seen people who've got access and privilege who have just been abused by the people who were needing help from them. So they will choose to hold back the help just to correct the behavior and to help people where it's a no. It sounds like a no. It comes as a no, but it actually a doorway that helps you to see yourself surviving and living beyond the help of the next person, right? So sometimes it's done for that reason. But sometimes I'll go back to the initial point that I made. It's about the manipulative, the insecurity that if I help you on this one, I know you're going to shoot. Like, this is the last, almost like the last bullet. So let's say this friend has been helping you with small stuff and whatnot, and now today you go to them with a business case, right? And this friend is sitting like, why would you even think that big? Like, what's your problem? And you know what they do? Then they come and say, oh no, put it here. Actually, I'm speaking with the investor on your behalf and so forth, because they know that the help will no longer be as piecemeal and to help you from one day to the next. It's now big, and you could be at the same tables with them, if not bigger. So sometimes they will hold off their access for that reason.
Even though you can assist, you choose not to.
Yeah, because now you're gonna take me to the same restaurant, or we're gonna be in the same hotels, and it will be you. No, how dare you? And who's gonna be feeding my insecurities? So you are the one who's been helping me to feed this insecurity. Now you wanna leave me to go groom the next person. This is the mental tape in them, where they playing it directly. But the outcome of it is that who's going to be feeding this insecurity and ego without you? So, no, I'm not going to help you.
Does it not smell a little bit of evil?
It is. It's pure. It's the darkest side of us as humanity, where we just choosing to feed, and we're choosing not to heal that which is wounded. And so the only way then to survive is to manipulate the next person around it.
Ego is also a huge thing, isn't it? And I think you've also spoken quite extensively on this, Tshidi, about, people not wanting you to do better, how do I then boost myself when I also better than I am? But what role does ego play in friendships, especially with people who seem to have the main character syndrome?
Yeah, I think, human beings have got ego. We all have ego, but it's how we feed it and how it plays. And sometimes it has helped us to build, to break the walls and that we didn't even think we can. But there's the egotistic side where it's the me, and if it's not me, then who are you, right? And that is the dangerous one, because that's the one where people have hurt people in the name of, I am the only one who's going to be on this pedestal, and if anyone dares to join me, that saying, Tshego, where we say some people climb the ladder and then they get to the roof and they kick the ladder so that no one else follows. So that is what, you see, you are so attached to this picture of being the only one who gets to know about the next best things. And also remember that kind of feeding of the ego is more materialistic than anything. So it's how much I've attained materialistically, right? And how much do I own over and above that? So that feeds that big ego. And you continue to do that by being the only one in the relationship. And if there's any new friend, you must observe, or if you have, I don't think you got those friends, so not you. so if there's any new friends coming to this ecosystem, let's say I happen to meet, I don't know, whoever, and then I start introducing them to the table, you must see the aggression from this ego that is saying not on this table. And instead of welcoming the person that looks similar to them, because this person is going to challenge their ego, they will attack at that person and almost want to show you just their shortcomings. Sorry, maybe not the shortcomings, but rather the what do you call these things? The negative side of them. But did you see how he eat? Why was he speaking so loud at the table? Did you see how he did this? So it's about see the negative side of that person so that I can remain to be the only glory. Because this friend is going to take away the shine and my ego or my light or the light in that regard begins to be covered.
Let's then have a look at ourselves here, right? How then can we look at ourselves in the mirror and maybe find that you're actually the one who's this kind of friend? How do we evaluate ourselves?
I think, what's the strange thing? The strange thing is these people usually, if you tell them that they're this kind of a friend, they'll tell you how you are lying and how they have, what do you call this thing? How they've helped the entire country. So that's their default. And so unless if they are on a learning path and they are growing in their learning path, I can tell you they will refuse outright. How I've helped Tshego, how I've done this, it will be a very difficult conversation to have. But let's say I am being on the on the learning path, and I've seen some people beginning to live my life, even the ones that were the ones that I was manipulating, and I'm willing and open to have that open relationship, open conversation in the mirror to myself and say, why is it that Tshego has left, Owen has left? Like, all of these people are suddenly moving away, and sometimes, and if not all the time, they start to leave and they ooze excellence wherever they are, right? Mm-hmm. And if the question, then the question to me would be, what is it in me that is feeding from this kind of friendship where I'm the controller and I'm the manipulator, right? It's not a one-day question, and it's not a one-day mirror talk or journaling that you do. It's depth, and you may need specialist people in the field to help you with that, right? But be willing and open to meet this darker side, because a lot of us, we don't ask these questions and we don't want to heal because we are not ready for what's behind the mirror, to meet this person, this darker, these shadows that you've been working with. Mm-hmm. And so the honesty around owning that I do have shadows. I mean, we all do have the shadows. Some of them have worked harder at the shadows. Some of them have just not worked at the shadows, and that's why that place then becomes very cold. And so, with the honesty and the consistent pinning down on that, you will get to the bottom of what are these insecurities that you've been covering with these shadows. And that also on its own requires the work, right? I think the challenge is when we think that we will do one work or one question, we get the answer, yay, and then we're done. And then the slap back at that is harder. And that's what makes us to not even do the work. Because we're going to say, that's why you'd hear people say, oh no, therapy doesn't work, coaching doesn't work, this doesn't work. Because we didn't want to do the work. We went at it and saw how deep it is, and then we went back. And some people will say, but I've lived up until this long and I've been fine. So why would I need that? So for me, it starts with that honesty, realizing that this ecosystem has not been, I have been infusing pain in this ecosystem, and therefore, what do I do? And it requires long-term commitment. It's not a one-day celebration and you've got the ribbon and then you're cutting and then you are the next person or the new person.
There, of course, there needs to be a stage where we start to heal. And is it possible for friendships that have felt performative or friendships where, they've been built on silent competition or unseen resentment, is it possible for them to heal? What would it take for friendships to heal and to get to a better place and understanding of who each person is in the friendship?
Yeah. That requires healing on both sides, right? I remember when we heal, I can't be the one person who goes to the doctor and gets medicated and heal, right? Because you can't back to the same place that makes you sick. So both of us need to commit that we are going to heal, right? But the question is, heal from what? Because remember, some of us as well that have been manipulated and controlled in the relationship, there's a healing that we need to do, because there's a dependency and neediness that we have developed either knowingly or unknowingly. And so when we do, remember we spoke about the pity parties, when we do the pity parties and when we do the reckoning with this issue, we need to understand what in us allowed this relationship to be the way it is. Because remember, let's call them the power friends or whatever. They groom their people and they choose them very, very well. It's very rare that they will just come to someone who's just at their either stronger or similar with them. They will not, because they know that will not go well. And so sometimes the very honesty that we both need to do is that what in me, what is this needy thing in me that needed that kind of a friend, and that allowed the growing. So the healing, what I'm saying is that it's on both sides. It's me recognizing that neediness or whatever in me, and then the insecurities on the other side to say, what is it that in me that makes me lack this empathy and so forth. It's going to require a long work, a long transformative conversation and sessions with each other until you get to the point where you can say, we can actually be friends. I've seen people who say, you know what, it's been real, we've both learned, and we no longer need to be these friends, right? Because the friendship, if it continues, can no longer be the friendship that it was. It has to be a completely new friendship with new boundaries, new rules, and new ways of collaborating as friends. And we may both not even recognize ourselves because we've never journeyed that way. So you are contracting on a new relationship altogether, and you both need to be ready to contract on a new relationship that you won't recognize, and you have to give it a chance, because remember, if it's been too long, the brain or the mind will always want to revert to that previous, to how it was. And so there will be triggers to say, there you go and do it again. So there has to be maturity as well in navigating each other.
Mm-hmm. That's the voice of Tshidi Pila, transformational life coach, as we speak about what I suppose could then be described, Tshidi, as perhaps toxic friendships, and friendships where people only worry about themselves and supporting themselves and looking after themselves rather than looking after their friends as well. But when we then speak about a toxic friendship, so to speak, how do we reclaim our power? If you felt like the one that has been beneath somebody else, and I put beneath in inverted commas, if you feel like you've been beneath somebody else, how do you reclaim your power and ensure that you don't feel like that anymore? It doesn't mean that you have to then let go of the friendship altogether.
So sometimes, depending on how toxic it is and how teachable the next person is, it may be best to close the door, right? But let's say it is still redeemable, right? The thing to do is to own your voice. Have you noticed when you see something being done or you are being belittled, and then you're choosing to be what the people call being a bigger person? Most of the time when we say we are being the bigger people, we are just being that we are the ones that are being a doormat. Yeah, you are the doormat in the relationship, and you call it being a bigger person. It's not, right? So owning your voice, you will shake. I mean, there's a good friend of mine who talks about how in the corporate world she was told that you have to speak even when you are scared. And she does it in the most animated way, which is funny but very true. At first, when you're owning your voice, because you've never known how to what do you call those things, own your voice. You're saying it in your head, but in your head it sounds right. But to say it, you feel like my world is going to end. So you need to say it even when you are shaking, all right? And then the bully will always push back. But you need to have the muscle and the drive to say, I'm going to push harder, right? if you still want the relationship, I mean, there might be other reasons why you want the relationship, and you need to own your voice and build new boundaries, which the boundaries sounds like, so you will not speak to me in this way. This is not how you are going to act when you are around me. So it's a new contract or the new ways of this relationship being, and owning your voice is exactly that. And you need to commend yourself where you have owned yourself and reflect on, how did that make me feel? And usually is that feel good where you're starting to own your voice and the confidence as well. And you know what? That confidence and the feel good is not only in this relationship. You will start to have it, to see this seed multiplying in other areas as well. Because you never, or is not always that you give up your power in one friendship. It's in pockets, but this friendship might help you to, be the key, because maybe that's where it was extreme, for example, right? So that's where you get your first key, and then you start realizing and paying attention within your ecosystem, at work, in a relationship, and to see, this is how I've been giving up my power in pockets. And by owning my voice and building boundaries, this is how I am asserting myself and helping myself to create this muscle where I'm no longer a doormat or being manipulated on or controlled on. I am a collaborator in these tables that I share.
And so when we then speak about, the true friendships, mature friendships, what do those look like? And how do we start building? I mean, some of us are just tired. We're done with trying to have more friends.
Right?
I know it sounds really wrong, but I'm also just like, I'm fine, right? I don't need a new friend. But when we want a true and mature friendship, what does it look like, first of all, Tshidi, and how can we then start to build those kind of friendships with people perhaps that we meet, that start off as complete strangers?
The friend that you don't need to have a buffer with, for example, if it's a very, dry season, and I can say to you, you know what, it is dry, and I'm not okay. The moment you're saying that with some sort of, because remember, your gut feel is always there. We may know it or not know it. But when there's this thing that I want to share with you as a friend, and I'm like, I don't feel safe here. Psychologically, you're not feeling safe. Then it's not a safe friendship. But let's say you start feeling that way, and it's a friendship that I can even sit with you and be silent, right? It's a friendship where the conversations that I have, I feel there's impact out of these conversations. Even when I'm wrong, you'll be able to say, Tshidi, where someone is not consistently your cheerleader and not even calling you out when they need to call you out. Those are safe friendship where people are willing to grow and hold each other accountable, because where there's no accountability, then there's either someone who's manipulating someone, because there's no accountability in that relationship. It's mostly one-sided, either someone getting something through power or whatever. So if I can't call you out as a friend, and I can't tell you that it's dry in my life, or I can't tell you that I don't feel psychologically safe, man, that's the word basically encompassing what I want to say, then you know that this is not the friendship that I want to nurture or I want to continue with.
And so, Tshidi, when we then say, I want to continue with this friendship, I suppose we then have to get to a point where we are setting very strict boundaries.
Absolutely. Very strict boundaries and respect for one another, and you owning your voice. That's the friendship that you want to hold.
Tshidi, let me thank you for your time. But before that, for those who want to get in touch with you, how can they do so?
It is Tshidi at imperativejeni.co.za. Otherwise, on all our socials, it is Tshidi wa Pila.
Tshidi, thank you so much. Truly appreciate it.